Hi, I'm Steve Watson from GHOSTnortheast.
I'm Peter Wolford. I've been with the team 14 years.
We're here today at the Castle Keep, probably one of the most historic buildings in the region, over 1,000 years of history, and probably as many ghost stories, to be fair. I think today what we're going to look at, the ground floor where the garrison stroke jail was. Peter, you will take
The Great Hall, potentially the King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber, and then we can have a look up to the cloisters around the top.
and they've got to get a photograph off the roof. Just with a photograph. So go in.
Yeah, come on. First stairs a minute. Where we are now is the Queen's Chamber. We've got quite a bit of activity in here over the investigations that we've done, mainly through dowsing rods. It's based to yes and no answers, obviously, when you're doing something like that. But we usually have the guests around here. We can't obviously go past here. But we've had guests scratched. Some people have been quite intimidated, had to be taken out. But we've also had quite a lot of communication with sort of handmaidens and ladies in wait and that kind of thing, rather than any sort of royalty that we may or may not have had in this room.
So here in the garrison, in the bottom of the castle, if you go back to the hundreds, it was used as a jail. It was having a roof on because it was ruinous back then, so it was open to all the elements. You would have up to 200, 300 people in this space, just mixed women, men and children, all just pushed in the same place. Imagine no sanitation, so it would be a horrific place to be. You can still see the original hooks from back then when I was in jail. I was in Newcastle jail. One of the stories, one of probably the most famous and well-known ghost stories, revolves around the jail's the Lavender Girl, the Flower Girl. What says back in the day, once a week the wardens would open the castle for the public to come in and watch the prisoners. That was their entertainment. So they would pay a penny or whatever it was to the guards, and they would stand around and they would watch the prisoners down below, throw food in, watch them fight. Horrific scenes. But back then that was the entertainment. Now you can imagine the squalor and the smell. So the young girls used to come out with roses and flowers for the rich folk to buy and put under their nose so they could smell that, so they didn't smell the filth below. And one of these girls, very rich on the day, getting a lot of money from the rich folk for her flowers, was walking up the stairs. Somebody come behind her, back of the head, left that for dead, where she did unfortunately die on the stairs of the castle. And a ghost still sitting along the stairs now. We've been here when multiple guests have smelled lavender, and then that's followed by the shadow of the small girl running up the stairs. Lavender's always what's mentioned, the flower that's always mentioned, which sort of been keeping with the time and the region. So it's quite a sad tale, but it's connected to the history of this great building. And there's condemned man's cell, so they were left in there before they were hanged or beheaded outside. Over this barrier is a drop down to the bottom of the castle, and bodies were just thrown over there. You hoped you died when you hit the ground, because if you didn't, the rats and the wild dogs locally would have been gnawing on your bones. I've had some experiences in there myself, personally. Voices, this door slamming by itself, and when it's dark, it is extremely dark. I can't say I came running out. As much as a ghost in there, it was a bit of a Scooby-Doo moment. Heard voices in this shut by itself.
So we're in the chapel now. You can hear the echoes of it. It's all vaulted ceilings. One of the things that we had in here was we've got a laser kaleidoscope, which is like a laser pointer, but it spreads a laser net. And we were shining it against this wall, and it looked like there was a mist rising, and it was starting to block out the lights. And then when we turned the lights off, there was nothing there. And as soon as we put the laser pointer on again, it started to block out the lights. And we had somebody standing here whose face went incredibly dark. It could have been a trick of the light, it could have been the lights changing outside, but it was night. It was lit from the window there, and there was street lights coming in, but the face went so dark, people standing as close as you are couldn't see the face. So another thing we have here, if anybody's wearing a hoodie and they put the hoods up, and they put the hoods up like this in the space, we start to hear chanting. So just something else that happens regularly every time we come here. Anybody that's got a hood puts the hood up, and then we get that noise in the background, and you can hear like that echo, and that's what people pick up on.
So we're here in the King's Chamber on the second floor of the castle. A story about its history, which links to some activity that we've had, or we've had guests in here. So it's said that the King and Queen, the Lady of Newcastle, was residing here. She was married to a cavalier, and he went to fight the wars in Spain, the Spanish cavalier. He returned from war early, and unfortunately walked in on the Lady of the Castle with a friend, shall we say, in this room, is the best way to put it. Obviously a fight, a scuffle broke out, and the good people of Newcastle stood by the Lady of the Castle as they would, killing the cavalier. And the story goes, cut him in half. So the top half of his body into the River Tyne to be floated away, and the bottom half of his body ended up down in the oubliette that I showed you earlier on. And that's the tale of the Spanish cavalier. Well, I'll take you out, and Peter, I'll tell you a bit of the activity that we've had, that sort of goes around that story really, which we didn't know about at the time. We found out later on.
So in here we usually do the group call-outs when we start the nights off. And we'll do a big circle around here. Quite often people report shadowy figures in the doorway, shadowy figures up, looking over there on the way up the stairs. And you can see around the top, there's the galleries, those arches up there, people sometimes report activity. It's always the same, it's always black figures. We've had people up there, because that is part of the location, looking down into the hall and seeing a figure walk from this door up into the well room, and that's documented in Steve's book. And that happens again and again and again and again. We've had an instance where somebody was standing over by the door there. It was the first time doing a ghost hunt, reported after the fact that he had a pain in his side. It was his first time and he wasn't too keen on sort of saying something had happened, but when we looked he had a scratch across his back. I think one of the weirdest things was Steve's wife. We were doing a team night here. We were in the King's room. Angela was actually lying in that fireplace. And she came into the room and she said, "Could you not have spoken to us?" And so I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And she'd seen somebody walk past her. While she was there, she saw dark legs and really dark boots. But we were all in the King's room. So whether that relates to the story of the Cavalier, we don't know, but we didn't know the Cavalier story until we started talking about
it. Heavy boots and just the footsteps.
Yeah.
Just legs up from the waist down, which we never knew. Then they linked it onto the book from the story. So whether it's linked, you decide.
You have to be careful when there's trains passing, because some of the equipment we use uses electromagnetics. The trains going past can affect the K2 and the AMF. So we have to be careful with the guests so that if there is a train going past and they go off, we tell them it's natural, because the Victorians basically put the train lines through the city walls all the way around the castle, ruined it. But this is one of the locations where we tend to use more of the old school, like I was saying about the dowsing rods and pendulum, because we have to be careful with the equipment. It's the castle keep. That's a bit of experience from Ghost Northeast's guests and a bit of the history.
As I say, probably one of the oldest, well, definitely the oldest buildings in Newcastle, and that's some of the stories. We could spend hours telling you more. They are available in the book Paranormal Newcastle by myself, and you can get that from Amazon, Waterstones, W. Smith's, all of the bookstores, or on our website at GHOSTnortheast.co.uk. Thank you.